All right, so we're still inside the range. Not surprised. Kind of expect that. Today, I'd actually like to see if we can't get up into pretty much the volume balance high up here. So we have a daily volume imbalance here. Pretty much we just like to see the close of that. Cool. There'll be a new week opening gap high as well. And we're actually sitting inside the... So I'd like to see us trade lower first into today's first presented, ideally. We'll see if 10 o'clock can create that trade lower. We'll look for some type of long off of the first presented. And then we'll look for complete closure of our new week opening gap pretty much. Oh my. Price may try to actually just accelerate since we already traded into that daily volume balance here. We might just try to hold that level, accelerate straight into high, leaving this open. If we were to go up first, I actually would like to see us hold from that and then reverse into the range. So pretty much just stay range bound to start the week. First presented, anchored pretty much low of new week opening gap. Previous day low, okay. So we may actually have to be careful here. As we bring up the indicator, we actually have previous days low there. Is that previous days? Yeah, previous days low. Also an old new week opening gap. And we already have sell side sitting there. So if price doesn't actually want to give a deep retracement, we could run out these lows, hold from this inefficiency, and then still accelerate. So we need to have both up just to watch, see how we interact. I would favor, as we said, falling through this one, trading into the first presented, and then at that point, trying to capture a long. Especially if we can keep this high in place. So if we can open here in the next 15 minutes, just go straight down using the premium that's already been created here, this volume imbalance or this fair value gap. I'd like to see us try to hold that, accelerate lower, get below the volume imbalance here, closure, and then continue to work down. So opening up there, we'll see what we get. We'd also like to move lower as well as NQ, right? You notice we leave a lot of higher lows. So we're creating that trend line liquidity that we talk about. We want to see price run out this liquidity here, clear all these lows, trade down into the inefficiency. So far holding that fair value gap nicely. Now we're looking for closure below the volume balance here on the daily sense. Let's go ahead and label that. So pretty significant levels there. Daily volume balance, new week opening gap. We're going to have to be watching that pretty much all week. That's exactly what we wanted to see so far. Hold the fair value gap, displacement below. So now we want to see this level pretty much continue to resist the price. We want to see the body stay below that daily volume balance. Work into this inefficiency here. Fall through it eventually, get all the way back into today's first presented. From there, we'll then try longs. Let's say that we work all the way down. We trade through first presented. At that point, we'll be bearish. We'll look for these relative equal lows here. So two possible outcomes. Either way, we'd like to see first presented first. For us to actually try to go long, we might, let's see, clear that low. We didn't get that low. We do have a first presented in here. So there's a possibility we could actually try to wait till price closes above that. What does that look like here? So it's going to be first presented. We clear the short-term low. That's pretty interesting. That's that negation, right? We close below it. Very next candle, no wick to the downside, full displacement higher. Negating not only closing below the volume balance, but we actually inverted the fair value gap. That to me is extremely bullish. Price is already consolidating here, which is why we're going to have to give it a little bit. But if we can actually stay bullish here, if this candle can close bullish, leaving a small fair value gap here, I like the idea of trying to use that. So we're going to invert this one. For the time being, potential fair value gap. This candlestick has closed above that first presented barely. So we would like to see this also confirm that. And Q also picked up the low. So we did get a short-term low. We wanted to see this one at least, as we said. However, we have already picked one up. We did leave that open, so we can actually watch that. Bro, hold up. We're tripping here, boys. I was wondering, I was like, that's not right. I was looking at two different things here. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm like, why is NQ not cleared the low? That's not NQ. That's ES, bro. There we go. Wrong instrument this morning. Okay, that makes more sense. We're still sitting in the same spot here. Whereas we were looking at this on the other one, we noticed that this low didn't clear. This low did. So I actually thought this was NQ. This is ES. ES did not clear the low. NQ actually did take the low. So currently, NQ a little bit cleaner, right? The setup we were looking at. Just more technically sound currently in NQ. With the short-term low cleared. Closure above first presented. We didn't actually close above a swing point, so no true break in structure. That's where ES is a little different. We actually do have the break in structure here, bullish. And we left that fair value gap open. That's aligned with, see, so I actually do like that. I don't mind trying that there. This becomes the balance range. The price only needs to trade into that. We do perfectly. This becomes the new balance range here. If we just continue to follow price, we go, oh, we hold. Okay. I don't mind actually just trying to confirm or continue to follow the bullishness. So really since the opening, right, displacement closing above this high, at that point, this becomes a balanced price range. That's why these get left open. Instead, we trade right down into the fair value gap created as we leave that range, not random. All right, so we're going to have to watch that. That holds perfectly. We get complete closure. We move away, create a new swing point. Closure above here activates the wick as a discount. That's respected. Right, displacement away from that, breaking structure again. So we'll just continue to try to follow structure, actually. And we'll look to try to be involved here, and we'll go for the high of our opening range gap from today. All right. So we'll throw that in there. As we said, NQ should hold. So like an NQ, we like this framework here. Targeting, right? Expansion. Opening range as well. So we'd like to see first presented hold an NQ. Pretty much first presented here, hold an ES as well. Just one to start the week. And this is where, even though we do have relative equal lows, this is where we don't mind trying to see those be left until we reach higher objectives, especially with the SMT at the low. So that's kind of why we're okay having the stop right at that low. We'll leave this for a little bit. Even if we start moving, I'd be fine with even letting price hit new week opening gap high. So if we can go new week opening gap high, bounce there, return, and then make an attempt for opening range gap high. That's what we'd look for. So utilizing two different gaps here. Might just stay bullish, right? So NQ ends up holding a little bit better. Dang, that's unfortunate. As you said, we'll leave this for a little bit. Could still see a retracement. If we get all the way into where we were going to pretty much target for our exit, so if we get outside of our opening range, then we'll remove this. At that point, it'll be a little further away. If we're going to trade back into it, we'd rather wait for like confirmation. So wait for price to hit again, look for a long off that, rather than just go in on the retest. Currently, we still fine with trying to enter on a retest. Hey, right. I think they understand this. All right, people already know. People know it's controlled. No need to hide it. But in the grand scheme, right, pretty minor bullishness. Like if we go to a daily, we would expect to see. That's insane. Look at that. Right, this we would expect to see. So that's not too surprising. As far as today, I think we're just going back up for that volume imbalance, right? Staying range bound. Price hasn't really made much sense in here. It's still amazing though. Sheesh. Yeah. But it has been quite the past few months, that's for sure. War again. We might be cooked. We were hoping March brought some better price action, but who knows? All right, I like this. I like this. See if we get a little pullback. Do have a little first presented here. We'll have to get below. I wouldn't mind seeing like wick into entry, body hold first presented if we do get that low. Fell short of our new week opening gap so far, so still have some time. NQ running nicely. Yeah, price should just dip. We need to get out of the range. But the puppet masters are controlling. All we can do is work with what we're given, huh? This delivery here, a little gross, so I actually would expect a quick pullback. Right, that's that trend line once again. Never really like seeing delivery like this unless we're going to expand. We need to displace quickly away. But at the same time, because we weren't entered yet, I'd actually want to see the pullback. If we already entered, I'd actually want to see prices displace, move. But since we're not, I'd rather this trend line get cleared, see NQ fall a little bit, see if ES can't get into that entry point. Wouldn't necessarily want to see structure broken at this point. We could run this high, but I'd like to see this stay below the high, right? So close back inside that range. We close above that range, say we might actually end up missing that. Hey, all right, all right. So NQ gave the retracement. ES did not want to. We haven't closed above yet. So we've actually wicked through the high of that new week opening gap. Running out equal highs, no closure. I still like the entry here. You said NQ, that's just kind of insane right there. The trend line liquidity we're talking about. This is where retail thinks they win. They're just buying the trend line. Sometimes it does pay off. Never for the reason they would expect, but we actually like to target those more often than not. At least one of these lows, right? So like maybe this low here. If we just keep this delivery higher, 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 we trade into the high of our opening range. I'd rather like to try to get short from there at that point. So instead of trying to chase it higher, at that point, we'd look for price to try to reverse back into the range. Okay, falling again. So see if we can get below this low. Want to clear this low as well. We'd like to see first this 1 minute fair value gap get inverted. So at this point, we're just holding every discount, as you said. Now that we've fully repriced into the low of this fair value gap, if this candlestick closes above, that's going to make this balanced, which means we'll probably just stay respecting that every discount. Right, NQ same. Still holding that trend line there. Down close candle support and price on the way up. We go from here to here. If we break structure, then we would look here. We'd rather see us not break structure, get below, fall into entry. Ran out the short-term high. We'll see if we close above. Okay, I don't mind that. Ran out the high, stayed inside. New week opening gap. NQ failed to run the high. See if we could break structure lower here. At this point, as we said, if we still just continue to hold, if this stays as a protected low, this candle runs bullish, breaking structure, we trade all the way up into opening range. We're definitely going to be looking for shorts off that level. Because at that point, we don't even need to get all the way back into like a low. Could target inefficiencies. And we've actually not returned into either of the higher time frame inefficiencies we created this morning. So if this here, 5 minute as well, right? Same in NQ. We get close, but both of those are still open. Can we invert? Nice. Okay, so we actually do invert. That right there is the YouTube framework. Fractalized, right? Short-term high barely cleared. Breaking structures through a low. No inefficiency left yet. Inversion, however, becomes the premium. So we watch that right away. See if the premium can hold this inversion. That should then leave open a new premium inside of that. That'll be the confirmation. From there, then we like to see price fall. Nice. Okay. And then Q, we want to close below. Most recently, down close candle body. Oh, no inefficiency. Did we fully reprice? We did. Okay. So there's not going to be any inefficiency left. We could still look for immediate rebalance. If this candle could hold that inversion, and now we've immediately rebalanced the previous candle, we should see quick movement lower if price wants to be bearish. If we end up inverting, getting right back above, we're still really holding that trend line. All right, that'll be here. So we didn't get this low, and Q didn't get the low either. So we actually haven't gotten either low yet. Still waiting for that. I want to see this hold as an inversion. Keep bodies below the breaking structure. Ideally breaking through lows here and here, all the way down into entry. Let me see. Oh yeah, we didn't even get that. Okay. Nice. Okay, okay. So that's exactly what we want to see there. Perfect redelivery into the high. Midpoint holding the bodies. This candle did close back above the swing low, but if this candle can push right back below, that'll be the negation we're talking about. That'd be good for us. SMT at the highs, so we like where we're at currently. We should just hold this, run bearish. Probably could have even taken a little counter trend idea, but we'll wait for the long. We said because we never closed above the new week opening gap, I'm still fine holding this. I'd like to see we'll enter on a first retest instead of waiting for confirmation, especially with one contract. Pretty wide stop. So if we get stopped here, right, we'll be content with that. As far as structure, if we're going to come all the way back for these lows, more than likely we just want to consolidate, or, right, as we said at that point, we're going to return for some of these open inefficiencies. All right, getting close. Let's see if we can get it. That held beautifully. Got closure below there and here simultaneously. Nice, nice. So this level should hold us now. And we might just have to target this high, actually, unless we can get another contract. So if we get entered here, it creates another long, or just any type of real structure that we trust to enter another entry. We'll look to get 2 contracts, so we could then partial. Let's say that we kind of just catch the falling knife. It trades into this, accelerates away. We'll close at the high here. So currently now we're creating premiums. That's okay. To go lower, we have to create some premiums. I'd like to see this fair value gap hold. We create this swing low just above entry. So I wouldn't mind that, actually. Like creating some short-term liquidity above an area of entry. So as we trade into the inefficiency, we're also picking up minor sell side as well. From here, if we did accelerate, okay, that is the first presented. So we did say we had this little first presented here. We had to get below. Hide this real quick. I don't want to necessarily go long from here. This could be a protected swing point, but we would need to reclaim the bullish fair value gap here. And at this point, I would actually need to see price close above the opening range high. Okay. So yeah, so that'll be unfortunate. If we just run bullish from here, we're gonna have to wait until we get closure above new week opening gap. Then we'll try to use that. Ideally, however, we just hold this fair value gap. We run up the low, we get entered, and then we accelerate. All right, holding. Don't even mind a little bit consolidation either in here if we want to. All right, consolidate, run out liquidity, reverse. Also can build some buy side too. Right, so now, same idea, we're taking that trend line that we want to see broke lower, trend line liquidity. We now are actually building that as some buy side. So that's good for us. Right, if we can hold that trend line as we trade into our entry, that gives us something to then target pretty easily on the reversal. So if we can hold that, that's ideally what we'd want to see, right, all the way down into entry. And then from there, we accelerate. Clear the trend line, punish the retail traders. Which means we want to actually see this high be protected. So now we should hold the low or midpoint of this current fair value gap, leaving this as a protected swing point. See the body close below it. Beautiful, beautiful. Liking everything so far. Pick up the short-term low, return into fair value gap. First presented is anchored there as well. We'll also be getting a new candlestick opening, so we have a good chance of catching the swing low there. All right, everything's looking good here. Oh, got my favorite song playing. Oh yeah, boys, look great. Hmm. Go ahead, go ahead. Want to see NQ clear at the same time. See if we get. Oh, nice. We got entered. We get entered. Okay. Ideally, wanted a little bit more, if we're being honest, because this might not be a swing low here. That's okay though. Can't be perfect. Don't think we'll get in the swing low. We do like the initial reaction though. The fact it barely wanted to tap it, reject. Even if we hit it again, I like the idea of holding that. So we're sitting pretty good. You said we'll close at the high. So we'll go a little bit more low hanging fruit. Just close at current buy side. Unless, as we say, we're able to add one more contract. If we can like create some type of long opportunity in here where we feel comfortable adding one more contract, then we'll treat that as a partial and look to close fully opening range high, like we're speaking of there. Oh, yeah, see, so we didn't get the swing low. All right, so once again, all right, we're still holding that actual trend line there. Look at that. Retail winning, which makes me want to add even more if we get the possibility. So what we're gonna do, I like that level 2 there. We might just throw one in right here. This is yeah, I don't mind that actually. So we'll just throw in using pretty much the same exact level. We're just gonna use that new week opening gap there. So enter our new week opening gap, 2 contracts, cut some risk. Midpoint opening range, what we want to see. Okay, so yeah, we're fine here. So now actually we can go ahead and reset this to where we can aim here. And we'll actually look to close one just at the high of our opening range for the new week opening gap, which will be, we can go for this high there. All right. And Q, same thing. That's pretty gross either way. All right, so both directions like that. We went higher and lower. Subpar delivery in both directions. It's kind of an ugly day. Subpar price delivery. First day of the month. Not too surprised. We're still inside of a large daily range. Oh, that's the displacement we did not want to see, however. See if this fair value gap high can hold. At that point, that's the last line of defense. Closure below this fair value gap, not looking too good for us. If we can go ahead and invert, then we'll be sitting good. But so far, right, retail winning there. I actually still like that. I don't mind that. If we get stopped here, we'll look for one more. Gotta be real careful there as we trade up into it. It's gonna want to act as resistance. And Q, let's see, we held the inversion, first presented. And we actually left an inefficiency, so that's not too good there. As we leave that fair value gap, we're gonna leave a premium also aligned with it. We'll commit to this, but more than likely we try to hold that. If we can invert that, though, that'll be good for us. If we invert here, especially get back above the original fair value gap where we entered, this will become our new protected swing point. We can go ahead and cut a lot of risk out. So if we can get that, that'll be good actually for us. Allow us to cut a lot of the risk. They'll actually get us, yeah, under 0.25% even. Cool. Boop. Wait, I want that right on midpoint there. Okay. This is where my price will rip against us. So since that original high we spoke about, high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, the lower high will form to then break structure again at this low if we're offsides. It'll just continue to respect all these premiums. Right, it looks like a trend line is holding. It's not the trend line that's holding. It's the premiums that are forming the trend line, right, if that makes sense. That's why we don't necessarily trust the retail, right? They see the trend line and think the trend line is what's causing it. The trend line is just an afterthought. It's a result of the PD array's holding price as it moves lower. Right, the inversion first. The 1 minute fair value gap next. Then the volume imbalance. After the volume imbalance, right, you broke below a discount that turns it into the new premium. So that's what I'm saying. If we are offsides, it'll just hold from here. We'll continue to see those lower highs. Same idea in NQ. But if we can break structure, we'll be sitting pretty good. Structure here in ES would mean we have to actually get above the volume imbalance. So far, though, I do not like that. Right? Look at the bodies. Can't even actually get back into the inversion here. It's only holding this 1 minute. So we'll look for this low for sure. We'll see if we want to displace below that low. Continue with that. That's just kind of insane delivery. You said this last line of defense pretty much for us. This wick. New week opening gap midpoint. So that would be it there. Now that we clear that low, we'd want to see this reject hard, get back above this fair value gap. If we stay heavy, run lower, stop loss. That will be where we put our stop loss if we can get above this fair value gap. It was going to be here, but now this becomes a new protected swing point if we do break structure. I actually don't mind this because it gives us a little swing high here to target as a structure break now. Whereas before we would have had to clear this volume imbalance. If we can at least clear this high, that'll be our first break in structure. But yeah, that's actually just kind of crazy delivery. Doesn't happen too much where we get the old trend line higher and lower. Retail's eaten today. love. All right. Retesting. Can we break structure? Get above it. If we can leave that volume balance, that's even better. We would love to see that be left. Leave the volume balance, close above the fair value gap, break structure. Only other thing that would be better is if price ran all the way into this volume balance and closed inside of it. Cool. So we're liking it. As we said, that will move our stop here if we close above. That should be the new protected low. All right, because now, right, we would be able to technically enter. If we didn't have two contracts here, this would be the confirmation we were talking about. We went in a little bit early, admittedly, but we trusted that. It holds nicely. But if you wanted more confirmation, short-term will cleared into wick, break of structure, closing back above, reclaiming the bullish. This is where it'd be okay to now stack an entry. Right, you would be able to move your stop to that low, and then you'd be able to either target here or, well, really it depends where you want to target. For us, we go low-hanging fruit. So we're just going to try to aim for, as we said, high of the opening range for the first one. Might even go less. How far is that? 57.75. That's like 20 handles. I don't mind even going for this inversion here. $14. I don't mind that, actually. Let's do that. We'll partial with this little high. Good little spot for a partial there. All the premiums now should turn into discounts, okay? So this one here, this premium that held us and sent us lower, as we invert that, that should be a discount that holds us and sends us higher. Same idea here. This premium held us, sent us lower. If we're going to trade into it, we want to see that hold us and send us higher. So now as we start breaking all these premiums, ideally, right, the ones that held us. So it's this one, and it's this one here. These become kind of the speed bumps that we have to trade up and through to trust that price can now continue to stay bullish. First speed bump is the volume balance. Second one will be this fair value gap. And then if we can clear it, that's why if we can clear this high, we should actually be able to release pretty good from that point. So that's technically where you could add one if you wanted inside this. We already built the position, so we're fine. Just watching. Not a fan of that. We'll see if we can get right back above that, right? That's the negation. Closure above the volume balance. Next candle, 0 wick to the upside. Pretty bearish, right back below. But now if we can actually push above this, that turns this candlestick into an order block. So it could turn a negative into a positive pretty quickly here. Right, no wick to the upside. We close above it. That becomes an order block that we should then be able to hold, especially as it's anchored to, right, that premium. So it's another thing we want to look for as we create kind of these sell to buy models, is we want to see the discounts being created where the old premiums were. And currently that's what we're seeing, right? The first premium, this inversion, we create a discount there. So now with this volume balance, if we can close above this candlestick, that'll create the order block there, which is what we want to see. So we need this candle to run bullish these last few seconds here. Ooh, you're out, Mike. All right, brother. Take care, man. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be a normal stream, 9:25 tomorrow. I'll see you then, my guy. Have a good day. I bet. So now look at that, right? That's what we wanted to see there. Closure above the candle, closure back above the volume balance. Now we should use that as a trampoline to accelerate us into our partial. You said we do have a speed bump here, so we can expect a little hesitation. This is where hesitation can be expected, because now the speed bump here, but we expect these premiums to be traded through. So a little bit of hesitation, discount reigns supreme, pushes through this premium, turning this into the next discount that gets used. So this is how we start to follow it up. First day of the week. As you said, that's a pretty large range. That's going to be 14 handles. I think if we partial, we'll go ahead and go break even right away today. Especially because, as we said, on Friday, we ended up with a loss. Ended at small red for that month. So it'd be nice to secure some, start the month, start the week off right here. So far, liking what we're seeing. Ooh, Trump speaks at 11. Uh-oh. And we might actually close before that if we're not out. So I'm not even trying to deal with that in the slightest. Financial juice. Let's see. Trump at medal ceremony. Yep, you're right. Trump to speak at 11 a.m. for Medal of Honor event. I mean, that shouldn't be too big, but you never know with him. He's always saying some crazy shit, right? So you can never trust any live event. Could absolutely cause chaos. So yeah, we'll look to be out before that, actually. So we'll give it about 14. Cheeto, man. Facts, man. He needs to relax. Just go a few days just being silent, please. You're ruining the trades. But it's all right. It's all right. So I think we'll actually, yeah, we'll partial. We'll go straight break even. And then we'll leave that final one. And then at 11 o'clock, 10:58, whenever really, right before 11, wherever we are, we'll just close it manually. So we closed above, did we get above midpoint now? What we're looking for, right, as we said, we expect hesitation here. We want to see closure above midpoint. We just got that. Hesitate, 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 push through, closure above midpoint. Midpoint now should hold. Accelerate us outside of the fair value gap into our partial. So let's watch that. Midpoint or the low should hold here. We don't want to see the bodies getting back below fair value gap at this point. You said, right, this is where you would have stacked that position. It'd be running nicely for you. As you get here, you'd be able to partial, go break even, just like we will here. We had a little bit better entry because we actually used this fair value gap instead of this one, but splitting hairs at that point. Midpoint holds beautifully. We've hit the high, so now as we trade down into midpoint and the low, we should continue to hold that with bodies. Bodies should close outside of this fair value gap now. After we hit this partial, we can see a pullback, which is why I do want to go break even. So we'll secure us a good amount. We'll go break even. Nice, beautiful. Leave the volume bounce open, close above. We'll be sitting real nice. Oh, look at that. And they say price is random. Very random closing price right there. Left the volume bounce open. We're sitting good. Should get partial out pretty easily. Once we get partial, as we said, straight to break even. I really don't want to see this low be cleared, but we'll have to see. Oh, playing. It's playing. Don't worry. Trust. Bam. Beauty. Boop. Beautiful. And now, final target will be opening range high. Or do we, what time is it? Let's see how we interact with this buy side here. If we push right through that, close above it, we're going to hold for this high. If we trade in, let's say that we trade into it, close back below the range, kind of start consolidating, we'll just look to exit on one more tap of that. So it'll be dependent on price delivery into that. As we said, now that we cleared this short-term high, though, price could reverse on us if it wants to. NQ actually cleared the high, so pretty significant SMT. Good chance of stop loss here, to be honest, seeing that. I didn't realize NQ got that high. But we've already captured the swing high beautifully, so if we get stopped here, it's fun. Profits are secured, stop loss is in profit. It's a win-win. At this point, volume imbalance needs to be the discount. Closure below that, where we would look for stop. Like I said, I wouldn't actually want to see this fair value gap be retraded into. I instead would want the volume imbalance to be the bounce price range. So this current high to low, like this, I'd want this to be the bounce price range that holds. Which means if we close below the volume imbalance at all, we could almost immediately expect price to stop us out. Especially with, yeah, look at that rejection at the buy side. A pretty good spot to exit there. But we'll see if volume imbalance can now hold. We'll look to reclaim this fair value gap. $10.50. We'll just go here right away, actually. So if we can get bullish, we'll just close there. Final setup. Want volume bounce to hold. Want to reclaim this because now this is going to act. Oop, this bearish fair value gap is going to. Oh wait, we actually never. Okay, so we actually never inverted that. It holds us here. We trade up into it again, but notice even though this candlestick did partial us out, the body tells the story. We still are inside of this fair value gap. So this is still really a premium. It's a bearish premium. If we close above it, then we'll be sitting good, especially with what price did here, holding the volume balance as we wanted to see. If we can hold that volume balance, pick up the short-term low, truly invert this now bearish fair value gap, turning it into a bullish discount, I like where we'll be at. Bro. No. I'm getting a little range bound. That's fine. Once we deliver into buy side like this, we expect consolidation. $10.52. Come on, get us out. As we said, at 10.50, we'll do 10.59.50. We close manually, regardless of where it's at. Right, that fair value gap still holding as a premium. Ooh, all right. We just picked up this low again. So in a fractalized sense, we're just creating a little consolidation here. If we can clear this low and hold the body on the volume imbalance, good chance we actually flip aggressively here. Seek and destroy. If we close below the volume imbalance, stop loss. 20 seconds, let's see. Pretty important candlestick here. I'm obviously extremely disappointed. Had the tournament in my hands and I threw it away. What more can I say? It's twice this year now so far, so getting good at it. Oh, all right. So we actually look for stop off that. Closure below that level after holding it. Acts as a premium. See price fall. Boom. All right. Fine with us, right? So we'll wrap it up there. Overall, good morning. Secure a nice partial, get stopped in profit. Win-win there. Nothing to complain about. Would have been nice to get the final buy side, but right, we don't need to get final targets to be profitable. That's something that's very important to remember and understand. A quick recap. We wanted to see bullishness pretty much this morning. We wanted to look for the opening range high. We were going to use this fair value gap here. The reason we were okay trusting that is because if we just kind of follow what price was doing before that, short-term low cleared, right, huge displacement, leaving a bounce price range, perfectly respects the bounce price range, breaks structure, right, perfectly respects the next discount. So heading into the open and heading into our entry where we're already established bullishness, we had already been respecting discounts. No need to try to go against that. We had already created a new fair value gap, broke structure again, and we had an objective that we'd like to target. So we were comfortable entering on the first retest. As you said, we liked the idea of holding that, so we just entered right again on midpoint of that same fair value gap. Stop loss got a little close, but we trusted structure. Right, this candlestick should not have been broken. It did not. We clear out that relative equal low. We're able to partial one at the relative equal, or at the swing point here, before eventually getting stopped in profit. Overall, a little bit choppy still, right? Like if we would just hide everything, we would say this is still just consolidating. But we were able to find a nice little setup in that and take advantage. Beautiful little swing high exit. You know, we always love those. No swing low for the morning, but the swing high will make up for it. So that'll be all for today. Not a bad start to the month. Hopefully March treats us a little bit better, man. Look at this dang chart. Just get us out of this range, huh? Been a grind. Sheesh, all these entries in here. But we'll continue to do it until price moves outside. So we'll be back tomorrow at, what did I say? 9:25. No high impact news or anything like that tomorrow, so it'll be a pretty basic morning. We'll get here about 9:25 and see what we can get. But until then, thanks for sticking around this morning. Hope you found it helpful. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and we will talk again tomorrow morning. See you guys then.